Welcome back to ARC Tutorials. This is Angular 14 CRUD tutorial series. This is a masterclass series, which means we are trying to build everything from scratch, from ground up to advanced use cases as we build along the project. This is part 3 of the series. If you haven't checked out the first two parts, I'll request you to please check it out. In the first part, I have covered the introduction to Angular, REST concepts, and CRUD basics. In the second episode, I've covered up setting up a UI theme and template. We are using a WrapPixel templates, which is free of cost and provides a lot of advanced features built in already. Today, we are going to learn how to set up the APIs that we'll need to work with this particular project, and we will be using Json server for this particular tutorial. I'll give you some support links for this particular project. The code, I will make it accessible 100% free. I'll host it in a GitHub or Gumroad. I'll provide that link in the description below. Watch out for that. You can download some of the free templates or explore more if you want to use. Feel free to use any template that you want to use with this particular project. But I am using Material Pro from wrappixel.com, so please do check it out. And also, if you have any doubts or need any support, please write to me at surya.aradhya@gmail.com. If you like my work and tutorials, please consider sharing YouTube super thanks with me. Thank you. Alright, so what are we building? We are building a contact management system just like Google Contacts, and we'll be creating some contacts, updating, deleting, editing. We'll have auto search for the contacts, and then we'll be filtering some contacts. So feel free to explore this particular application from Google, which is called contacts.google.com. We'll be trying to build this functionality in our project. Alright, so today we are looking at setting up the backend API with JSON server. Okay, so just some background on JSON server. JSON server is something that you can install to have quick mock UIs, okay, mock APIs. When you're working, if you are a front-end developer not familiar with backend APIs, or you want to just mock the response of how you would be getting from the backend, you can use JSON server. It's free of cost. You can install it using npm, and you can customize the responses that we want. And that's exactly what we are going to do today. All right. So we'll be doing these 4 steps, which is npm install JSON server, create some contact responses in our file, and then we will spin it up and see those APIs up and running. Yeah, that should be it. This should not take long. So let's get started. Alright, open up, fire up your editor. This is the running notes that I started creating from episode number 1 and 2. So I'll continue doing this as and when we go along. So first thing we are doing is installing JSON server. So the command that you should do is you should first navigate to that project directory, and we are calling it Angular 14 CRUD, and then inside that we are working on Angular 14. We are using the Material Pro theme, and inside that Angular 14 is where we are working. And then so this is the folder directory structure. So now what I want you to do is go here and do npm install JSON server. Now what it would do is it will install this package locally for you, and then we can create our own file and make it watch. So let's give it. Alright, so it says it has installed the JSON server. You can see here it has successfully added. Good. So now what we are going to do is go into server, into source file, go to source folder and create a new folder. Create new folder by the name data. This is like mock data that we are setting up in our local. So I'm going to create a new folder and say data, right? And then we're going to go into this source and data, and here I'm going to create a new file. So let's open a new file, and this is nothing but if you want to learn more how to create that, you can use JSON server. You can just search for it and you can get this first one, but I'm just giving you, there are a lot of functionalities that this particular library provides. We are going to use a basic version first and then modify according to our need. So I'm going to save it and say db.json. This is a JSON file, and inside or inside Angular 14 we want to go into alright, let's do one thing. Let's just save it here and say new file, and I'm going to say db.json, and just copy this contents here. Okay, nothing much. You can save it anywhere basically. It doesn't matter, like if you want to in a certain folder, no, you don't have to be. I am keeping it there because it would give us a proper structure to our application. That's all the reason, and I'm in that particular folder as well. Alright, so we got our DB file. So if you want to just spin it up, you can just type the command Json run, and it would watch for that particular file. So the way you do it is JSON server, you'll say hyphen hyphen watch, and you'll give the file name and hit enter. So now you see it is serving us at localhost 3000. Okay, now it's saying loading db.json. If it doesn't find that particular file, it will create a dummy db.json. But for now, since we have given, it is reading this particular file, and it is serving at localhost 3000. Right, and the way you invoke is localhost 3000 slash posts. It will give us the details. So I'm going to postman, and we are going to go localhost 3000. It says empty, and then the way you do it is you can just pass the APIs, not delete. Make sure you have the correct verb. So it is giving us post, which is id1 JSON server type code, which is same thing that we have here. Alright, so our DB setup is done. Our JSON server is ready. We are able to serve it through Postman. If you don't want to use Postman, you can also go to localhost and type 3000 slash posts, and you can see the response in your browser also. That's another way that you can check. So we have our API ready. Now let's fix up the data with respect to our project. Our project is contact management system, so we'll create some respective data so that we can serve it. All right, so let's get started. So I'm going to modify this now. I'm going to watch this stop, and I'm going to control C here for now, and this I'm going to make it contacts, right? And we'll have a contact ID, and then we are going to, these are the fields that you want to work with. Again, don't go fancy pancy there, but have a basic one that you can work with, neat and clean. So I'm going to create one. I'll share all of this code with you. I like to have it much detailed, and I would love to have more fields so that we can work with better data. Okay, so we are going to say first name, we are going to say last name, and if you don't know what fields to enter, what you can do is go to Google Contacts, create a contact. So these are the fields that you can have just like Google, right? So since we'll be having this same form, I'll try and use the similar fields in our db.json. So we have the first name, last name. So first name, okay, and then you can keep on adding different fields. I will let you creative here, um, and enter all your details that you want to have. Quickly, let me type out something here for you, and then I'm going to have, say, label, because that's what is one of the features that it would have. Say personal, and then keep on adding more details, like say company name, right? And then title, if you would like to give one company title or designation, and then you can have some DOB, date of birth, right? Fill in the details, and then I'll leave some empty so that when we do edit functionality, we can edit those details. Drop me a note of if you are adding any extra fields that I have not added, or you think something should be created, some interesting names of the fields if you come across. So I'll be waiting for you on that. So today is 06/22. Okay, so right, so we got a basic contact detail done. Once, what I'm going to do for now is just copy paste it couple of times with different ID, right? Give any names. I want you to be creative here and fill up at least 10-20 details. The fastest way is simply just copy the code and then populate it. The reason I'm adding a little bit is so that we can see them in display when we do a list. So that's the reason I'm adding more data. At least add 10 or 15, but I'll add only 5. I'll add it later with correct data and everything. You can use lorem ipsum if you would like to. Okay, so these are the 5 things I've added in the contacts. Okay, now let's spin up the JSON server again, and you should now, when you do contacts here, you should see all the contacts coming up here. So we have the 5 contacts that we are getting as a response from the API. You can see here status is 200 OK, which means our API is good. All right, now corrupt the data, like make it error. Okay, now corrupt it and try to get it won't spin up because we don't have data there, and I think we'll restart it again. It should give error. It won't start basically, but let's say you have some error, you should see a different status code, that is 500 internal error. Alright, so we got our contacts data done. Alright, I'm going to add one more and say frequent contacts, one more API. What this will return is frequently used contacts, right? So this would again be a list of contacts. So here you will have contacts that are there, and this will be an array. So I'm going to copy the same array for now, and then the frequent contact will also have number of count. That's what we want to have, right? um, so this is an we have got the array, but we haven't. Okay, this is the problem here. Okay, so we got the contacts array, that's done. Frequent contacts, so this is done. Now what we are going to do is, inside frequent contacts you might want to have certain more fields like count, right? This will be the count of number of contacts you have, etc. Right? So the idea is there are 2 APIs now, and save it and spin up your JSON server. It's correct. So when you go and say frequent contacts, you should see count as 5 and you'll get the list of contacts. Okay. One good way, what I do is, whenever we make Angular responses or request, we will be working also with full response, which means we can check the status code and everything. I'll cover that when we reach services. So what have we done today? For now, we have set up our db.json. We have some contacts. We have frequent contacts. I'm going to add one more, which I'm going to call labels, and let's give an ID to that. Work with good quality data. That will be your motivation to work with. This I'm going to say personal, and this will be again an array. So keep it an array and then keep on adding data to it, and you will have more data like professional. Like you want to categorize the contacts, so you would have this category list and say family, and then say social, and have different IDs for them. Alrighty, so done. Okay, so we got the 4 labels created, and we got some contacts. We got an API for frequent contacts. I think that should be good for now for our application. That's the basic stuff you need: contacts, frequent contacts, and labels. Okay, if you look at the way this is architectured, like labels and create label, so this is for that labels. Contacts and frequent contacts is for these two, these two functionality. That should be good. All right, you might also want to have for labels, you might want to have some more fields. Again, that's up to you, but I'm going to add one more, which is called color code. Say red, and have some more, so this way we can display different labels accordingly. And green, and say blue. That's it. Boom, done. That's all we need for today, which is getting our backend APIs ready. So we see APIs are working fine, which is 300. We are getting all the different color codes, and labels we have contacts. We are getting returning all the list of contacts. We have the frequent contacts, which is returning us the count value and some contacts that are frequently contacted. Excellent. So that completes our job for today, which is setting up the backend API with JSON server. And the next episode onwards, let's start building the actual functionality in Angular application, which is the read functionality. We will read the contacts, we will render them using different material components, and so on. That's all for today. I hope you are able to set up your APIs, and if you have any questions, as always, I'll encourage you to reach out to me in comment section or drop me a direct email. Thank you so much for joining. I'll continue this series, and I hope you will join me in the next episode. If you love these tutorials, please consider giving me super thanks. Thank you. See you in the next episode.